Hi guys, welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I talk about books on my channel, so if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so that you can follow along my reading journey. Anyway, in this video, we are going to talk about The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This book has been on my radar forever. Ever since I read We Have Always Lived in a Castle, which was the first book that I read by Shirley Jackson, and I was completely blown away. If you haven't watched the video, go ahead and watch the video. I will add a link in the description down below or somewhere at the top here. That book was not only an introduction to me to Shirley Jackson, but also to just amazing fiction, amazing psychological horror. So yeah, I love her and I have been on the hunt for this book ever since. But every time I used to go into the bookstore, for some or the other reason, they just never had this book. There was this one time I walked into the Brick Lane bookshop. Unfortunately, the staff there told me that they just sold their last copy like an hour or so ago. So I was extremely unlucky in finding this book, and I didn't want to buy it on Amazon. It's not like I don't buy any books on Amazon, but there's something so wholesome about buying books from a bookstore. Fortunately, I found this one when I went to Canada, and I don't know why books are so expensive in Canada. I paid 22 Canadian dollars for this. Actually, I paid 23 point something for this because books are taxed in Canada, and I don't know why. If I were to buy a brand new paperback in the UK, I think this one wouldn't cost more than $9.99. But if you convert the amount that I paid for this, then it comes to somewhere around 13 GBP, which is just insane. Anyway, I bought this from an independent bookstore, and I'm always happy to support independent booksellers. It was a win-win. So in this book we have Dr. Montague, who is an occult scholar, and he wants to go and live at the Hill House to find some solid evidence of haunting, and then he wants to bring that evidence back to the scientific community. But he doesn't want to go there alone. He needs some more people to observe supernatural happenings at this Hill House. So he invites certain people, and when he selects these people, he selects people who have some sort of experience with supernatural elements or that are really peculiar. So one we have is Eleanor, who has in the past had some experience with supernatural elements, and her story is introduced at the beginning of the book. And then we have Theodora, who is very lighthearted. She is very cheerful, and I would say a very strange woman, dreamy. Her dialogue in this book really threw me off. So yeah, very strange. And then the last person that joins him is Luke, who is the future heir of the Hill House. And that was kind of one of the conditions of the present owner of the Hill House, that Dr. Montague can only go and live at the Hill House if he takes someone related to the current family. So Luke is the future heir, and he is basically a troublesome family member. So he's kind of sent to the Hill House, basically. He is a liar. So very peculiar characters go to this haunted house. Imagine the combination of weirdos living in the haunted house, and then you follow them along and you kind of try to make sense of what is actually happening. So there were times when I was like, is this really happening? Or because these people themselves are so strange, is it all in their head? I was so confused. I was so thrown off by some of the reactions that these people have to haunted things that were happening, the doors closing and all of that. So we have Dr. Montague, who is always trying to, make logical sense of everything that's happening in the house, in the haunted house. And then we have Eleanor, who has a lot of issues. To me, she came across as someone who has abandonment issues. Then there's Theodora, who completely throws you off. She's so cheerful. And then there is Luke, who you have to remember is a liar. And it's just a very weird combination of people at a haunted house. Was it scary? I would say it was scary. I am a scaredy cat, so I did not dare to read this book at night. But if you like horror stuff, if you like descriptions of haunted houses and what happens in them, then I think to like fully enjoy this book, you can read it at night in the dark at a campsite, I don't know, or when you are living in a haunted house to get like the maximum effect out of this book. I didn't do that, and I still had a dream where I was in a haunted house and I was scared. So you can imagine the amount of fear this book instilled in me. The thing I like about Shirley Jackson is that her horror is more on a psychological level, and it is not in your face. Like, never in her books have I come across things like look, there is an apparition of a woman in white, or something of that sort. Although there is description of like things moving on their own and things happening in this one, but it all becomes more interesting because you only get to know about those things from one of the characters' perspective, or through the dialogue, through the reactions of the characters. And it's very interesting. There's so many times where I was questioning everything that was happening, but this is Shirley Jackson, and there is a lot of underlying meaning, and they are disturbing. This one I didn't find as disturbing as I found it to be scary, or maybe a little bit disturbing. I ended up giving this book a 4-star rating. This is definitely not my favorite Shirley Jackson, but if you love books about haunting, if you want to just be kind of bewildered, read this book at night in candlelight. You will be scared. You'll definitely be scared. This book gave me goosebumps, but I think overall it had an effect on me like the other book had. What was the other book? I think it was Turn of the Screw, which again is like such a classic horror, but that didn't work for me. I did love the build-up of thrill in that, of the fear, which I kind of experienced in this, but I honestly don't think this was my favorite Shirley Jackson book so far. But I still loved it because this is more of a whimsical psychological horror. The dialogue in this is so whimsical. At one moment there's something really horrifying happening and you are scared out of your wits, and the next moment these people are laughing, and I was like, okay, these weirdos are at a haunted house. What else can I expect? Very interesting. There are some other interesting characters in this, which I thought was like a really good contrast. Definitely a good book to read on Halloween night though. I haven't watched this series. It says that this is an inspiration for the Netflix series, but I haven't watched the series. I don't think I'll watch the series because I'm too scared to watch any horror series. So the book was good enough for me. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this book. Oh, by the way, my favorite story by Shirley Jackson is The Lottery. I must have talked about this on my channel at some point, but if you haven't watched that video, just to let you know, The Lottery is one of the most horrifying story I've ever read. But when you read it, when you're actually reading it, you don't realize it until you read the very end. And it's a short story, so if you haven't read it, please read it. It will give you a sense of what kind of fiction Shirley Jackson writes. Honestly, the best kind. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read this book, if you've watched the series, or I think there's a movie as well. If you've watched anything, if you've watched this on screen, or if you've read this, do let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I will see you next time. Until then, take care. Bye bye.